Hello, my name is John and today on Mono Story we're going to be talking about what is a devil fruit. So let's get into it and find out what it's all about. A devil fruit is an object in a certain kind of shape that has a lot of swirls on it. Lots of people have stated that after eating a devil fruit, the taste was one of the worst things. And one of the negatives to a devil fruit is that once you've eaten the devil fruit, you are unable to swim in water. However, the best and positive thing about a devil fruit is that you obtain a specific power or ability. Now, these abilities are classified under 3 different types of devil fruits. These are known as Paramecia, Zoan, and Logia. Now, the first one, Paramecia, is the most common devil fruit, and these give the user superhuman abilities. Now, there are 3 distinctions to classify what is a Paramecia fruit. The first distinction is known as body alteration. This is where the user will change part of their body through the devil fruit. So an example of this would be Bonglay, where he changes his whole body using the Mane Mane no Mi or the Clone fruit. Now, another example would be Shiryu of the Rain, one of the members of the Blackbeard Pirates, and how he has the Suke no Mi or the Clear fruit, which makes him go invisible. Again, in this case as well, he has a superhuman ability that changes his body by making it go clear or invisible. The next one is environmental manipulation. Now, this is where there is an unnatural effect upon the environment. An example of these forms of Paramecia fruits is the Ope Ope no Mi or Op fruit used by Law. Now, this fruit creates a room, and in that room, Law is able to change the reality or the state of the environment in which how the people or things are in that space. Or the Nagi no Mi, also known as the Calm fruit. This is used by Corazon, who is Don Flamingo's brother, and this fruit, in the way that it changes the environment, creates a nullifying effect where only the people within that space can hear each other. Everyone else sees the people within that space as being silent or mute, therefore they cannot hear what conversations are being had within that space. The last way to distinguish a Paramecia fruit is through substance generation. So this is where an individual with this type of Paramecia fruit will produce a certain substance that may be a complete object or it may just be a liquid. So an example of this type of Paramecia fruit is the Bari no Mi or the Barrier fruit. And this is used by Bartolomeo of the Bartolomeo Pirate to create a barrier, which is a form of a substance generation. And another example doing a similar thing is the Doku no Mi or the Venom fruit used by Magellan in the Impel Down arc. And in this arc, Magellan creates a poisonous liquid that is purple, and this is again another form of Paramecia fruit that creates a substance. So the 3 ways we can tell that a devil fruit is a Paramecia fruit is through alterations of the body, unnatural effects upon the environment, and substance generation. Now, the next type of devil fruit is known as the Zoan fruits, and this is a fruit that allows the user to transform into an animal or beast as well as something from myth or legend. Zoan fruits are also known to have a will of their own. Therefore, it is sometimes the will of the fruit that brings the user closer to the fruit. Now, there are 3 specific forms that each Zoan user has. This is the human form, that is the base form of that person that can use the devil fruit. The human beast form or the hybrid form in which the user will be half the beast or animal or whatever they can transform into and half of their human form. And the last one is the full beast form, and that is where the user will take on the full form of that Zoan fruit. On top of these 3 different transformations, the Zoan class itself also has 3 different subclasses. So on top of there being the regular Zoan fruits, you have ancient, mythical, and artificial Zoan fruits. An example of this type of Zoan devil fruit is Logia, who can transform into a leopard, as well as Kaido, who can use the mythical Zoan to transform into an azure dragon, as well as Marco, who can transform into the phoenix. Now, there are some cases where Zoan fruits can be put into inanimate objects. So we see this with the Ines Lobby arc, where Spandam has a sword with a devil fruit that can transform into an elephant. This is a type of Zoan fruit that is inhabiting his sword. Another example of this was also in the Alabasta arc, where Mr. Four had a weapon that also looked like a dog. Now, in terms of Zoan fruits, there are still some Zoan fruits that do not act like a regular Zoan would. An example of this is the Hito no Mi, or the human fruit, which is used by Chopper as well as some other people in the story. Now, this fruit, though it is considered to be a Zoan fruit, it does do different things. For example, Chopper is able to transform into different forms using his rumble balls. So this breaks the mold of the typical Zoan fruit where there are 3 forms, because we know Chopper can transform into a variety of different forms, and depending on his training level, he is able to take on those forms for longer periods of time, which is not the same as what a normal Zoan should have. These 3 forms: human form, human beast hybrid form, and beast form. Now, the last kind of fruit is known as the Logia fruit. This fruit allows the person to transform into a certain element, or their body is basically that element. They are also able to manipulate that element to their will. It is also considered to be a rare type of fruit. Examples of this fruit are things such as the Meta no Mi, or the Flame fruit used by Ace and Sabo, as well as the Yami no Mi, or the Dark fruit used by Blackbeard. Now, the unique thing of a Logia fruit is that the person's body is that complete element, so harming them is quite difficult. However, there is a method to do so. One is to find their weakness. So we see this 2 times with Luffy early on in the story. In Alabasta, Crocodile struggles to beat Luffy once Luffy has his weakness of water, as well as with Enel. Luffy is a conductor for electricity as he is rubber. Therefore, in both of these cases, he was able to hit both of these characters after finding their weakness. However, the more efficient way and better way to harm a person who uses a Logia fruit is armament haki. And so a Logia fruit, one of the rarest fruits in One Piece, allows the user to become that element. Therefore, their body is completely that element. Now, devil fruits, even though they have these classifications, some fruits may fit another classification even though they seem to be in a specific classification. An easy example is with Magellan using his Doku no Mi, or the Venom fruit. Now, this fruit, as I said before, is considered to be a Paramecia. However, it could be perceived as a Logia. And one way we can distinguish this to make sure we understand what type of fruit they are is that Magellan is not the element of poison, because poison is not naturally occurring element in the world. So lots of these Logia fruits are elements that are naturally occurring. So we could think of things such as light, ice, magma, fire, etc. And using these elements, that's how we understand what a Logia is. But in the case of Magellan, poison is something that you need to make, and therefore that substance is created, making it a Paramecia. Another problem we have is if Logias are all part of the body, so your body becomes that fruit, why is Blackbeard unable to become the Yummy Yummy no Mi, or the dark fruit? And this is not the case. He still is the fruit. However, his way of nullifying damage is just different. See, a normal Logia fruit will pass the damage through. So for example, if you're fire, the damage will hit you and then it will leave a mark of fire. Or if you're smoke, it will pass through you as it should smoke. But in the case of the dark fruit, or the Yummy Yummy no Mi, it will actually be absorbed to nullify the damage. Therefore, during that process, feeling the damage. And that is what makes the Yummy Yummy no Mi different, but yet still classified as a Logia fruit. Now, do I think that devil fruits are a good form of power ability? Yes, I think they are a solid ability. The reason being is they create unique fights and they're able to do unique things. And I always say this, one of the best things devil fruits have to offer is displayed by Doflamingo. When Doflamingo was very young, I think he was 10, he was able to get the Ito no Mi, or the string fruit. Now, this fruit in its beginnings and thought process is bad because you think it's string. But Doflamingo shows you that it is a very, very good devil fruit, as it has a lot of versatility, utility, and attacking as well as defensive capabilities. They also create more mystery in the story, because when you eat a devil fruit, until that ability shows, you are unsure what new ability the person that consumed the devil fruit will receive. Also, the concept of how they're made, where a devil fruit, once the person that used that devil fruit is deleted, a normal fruit will become a new devil fruit with that same ability. That being said, there are some negatives to devil fruits that I think don't really ruin them, but seem silly. So the first big one is that the user cannot swim in water after they have consumed a devil fruit. Now, the issue I have with this is that the rule itself is not the problem. It's the implementation of that rule is very wishy-washy. In other words, sometimes users of devil fruits fall in water and they get saved quickly, not a problem. Or they use it more as a intensifying moment. But they always seem to find help from somebody else, making this weakness not really a liability, because no one has ever been deleted by falling in the water with a devil fruit. The closest we got was with Jack, and Jack has a part of his DNA being a fishman. So even though he's stuck underwater, he can't move, he's a fishman, so he can always just fall in the water anyway, defeating the purpose of having that a problem in the first place when you eat a devil fruit. Another problem with devil fruits is that there are some devil fruits you just don't want. Like, nobody wants the Jacka no Mi or the Jacka fruit. We all know it's an absolutely trash devil fruit from the Dressrosa arc. It's as big of a meme as Dragon Looking East. And that is my thoughts on what is a devil fruit. So I hope you now can understand what a devil fruit is and the different classifications for them. So in the future, when we are introduced to new devil fruits like Loki's fruit, you can easily identify what fruit it is through the abilities of Loki's devil fruit. But I want to hear what you think about devil fruits. Do you think they're good or bad, and why? So please write down in the comment section below. If you haven't already liked, subscribed, press the bell button, please do so. My name is John from Mono Story. I want to thank you so much for watching today's episode, and until next time, I will see you on another Mono Story.